But yeah, thank you again so much for meeting with me. Just as a quick background in terms of how we met, I'm married into the family. So Chafin Scott is my husband and Mary Watkins. And correct me if I'm wrong. So you're his aunt, correctly? So because we call you Aunt Mary.
I'm his great aunt.
Great aunt.
His grandfather and I were brother and sister.
Brother and sister.
Probably didn't clear it up any better. But yeah.
Family lineage is so difficult, but so I feel blessed that I met you through the family and have a chance to interview you and have you just answer some questions about how to transform dreams into reality based on what you've already done with your life. So we'll start by having you just give everyone a quick introduction about who you are and what's on your heart for today.
Well, my name is Mary D. Watkins. I'm a composer and I live in Oakland, California. And today is beautiful. Actually, it's very, very nice out. It's probably the first really nice day. I don't really need a jacket. So I'd say that's pretty nice. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, it's been warmer here in Colorado, which has been beautiful. My husband and I, we went to Las Vegas and the weather was gorgeous. It was snowing here in Colorado. We went there and then we came back home. We're like, we want the sun. And now the sun has arrived. I was like, we brought it back from Las Vegas.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, let's just go ahead and dive right into some of these questions. So the first one I have for you is, when did you compose your first composition?
Well, I was pretty young, and it wasn't really much of a composition. It's probably about 8 bars, if it was 8 bars. But, it was the first attempt. I was always picking out tunes that I heard, especially ones that I heard at church. So, I had a really good ear. And so I would, play around. So I finally decided to actually put it on paper. And, I don't remember how old I was, but I was pretty young, probably about 9 or 10.
9 or 10. Wow.
Maybe.
Wow. And did you always know you wanted to be a composer? Like, where did that inspiration come from? Do you have any specific composers or artists that come to mind for you?
It's probably always been there. But when I first became really conscious of it and said, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm going to do. I was actually in college, I was a freshman, and they were playing, I forgot who, it was Haydn's, a symphony of Haydn. I don't remember which symphony. And of course, it was beautiful and full, and I thought, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I want to do. And it was just always there. Many years passed, and but I used to daydream about being a composer and being on stage after my great composition was performed and taking a bow and that sort of thing. That I used to have those kinds of dreams.
I love that. Just daydreaming and visualizing what that future held for you. And now we're here. I'm sure you've taken many bows on stage.
Yeah. When I think about it, most people pretty much thought that was a very cute idea. Gee, that's really cute. But, get real. Teach music, maybe teach music, or, get to typing. Make sure you know how to type. And it just wasn't, nobody really thought this could happen except my mother. My mother, it's really funny, but she believed I could do anything. And she believed that, if I wanted to write music, that I could do it. And she never said, don't be, don't be unrealistic. I mean, he did say you should get typing. You should learn how to type, get those secretarial skills, or teach. But she never said ever that my desire to compose was anything but great.
Wow. And so that kind of takes me to my next question. Who has been the most supportive in your career? Would you say that that's your mother? And then has anyone ever tried to prevent you from chasing your dreams, like because they thought you were crazy? So after you verbalizing what you wanted in your life, people told you, like you said, no, you need to learn how to type, do something else with your life. Were there more so those individuals saying that versus your mother and others supporting you?
Uh, I didn't have a lot of problems with that, except really it was my mother believed, she believed I could do anything, I think. I mean, I'm really thankful for that. I remember, my ex-husband, he did not think that this was at all realistic. He thought that I was like a little dingy. What makes you think you can do that?
Yeah.
That's the only real pushback I got that mattered.
And that's important. You saying that too, that mattered, right? There are people who may be naysayers or saying this, that, or the other about your dream. It's like not everyone's voice matters. So you need to
That's true.
just focus on your own voice. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Do you believe that you're living in your purpose today? If so, what is that purpose?
Well, I do. I've often wondered, what purpose? I mean, what does it matter that I'm putting notes, these little notes on a piece of paper, and that I'm making up music, or what does that really matter? Is that going to change anything, or is that going to stop the next war from happening, or that sort of thing? But I feel now, today, that I am in my purpose. And I think that everything that's happened, because it was a long road and a lot of detours, and always in the back of my mind was where I wanted to be, where I am now. But I got very involved in where I was then. And I did a lot of performance as a pianist. I did a lot of jazz. I was considered a jazz pianist, even though I had classical training, and I played jazz. It's improv. It's improvisational, a lot of music, and so I had a lot of experience at that. And I felt that my playing, people were moved by my performances. And it was hard for me to believe that. I don't know why, except that I knew this wasn't the dream, or this is not exactly where I want to be. But I recognized the fact that that the music had a very strong emotional component to it, I guess you might say. People were moved, and I know that they were, not just because they told me so, but I just knew, and they did tell me, they didn't say things like, oh, you can really play the piano, you're really, they would say they felt things, they felt the music. Someone said she saw a field of flowers. I don't know which one that was that but I got experience, first of all, in the church, because I was, they had a little junior choir, and I was 8 years old, and I probably was maybe the oldest or one of the oldest kids in the choir. Well, I was chosen to be the accompanist. And so every fifth Sunday, this little junior choir, these junior kids would have charge of the music at church. And I started accompanying way back then. And I think I would often, in my mind, hear more than just the piano. I would hear, and so I tried to play what I heard. A lot of it was kind of orchestral in a way, Um, but let's see, I lost the second part of that question.
Yeah. Yeah. You've covered all of it in terms of living in your purpose, or the other part was just like, what is that purpose? I think you're kind of fleshing that out in terms of what you're doing now.
That's really, really important, because I believe now that it is, I am fulfilling my purpose, not only just as a composer, but as a pianist, as I always was. We need peace. We need harmony in our lives. We need inspiration, and we get quite enough of the other. But and I feel that for me, that's the way I share that. My music it's not about me. It comes through me, and it is for you. You can either accept it, or you might prefer something else, but it's for the world. It's for this group, for that group. But no one is excluded, because it's really not about me. And it doesn't matter whether it's the so-called enemy that's hearing the music. It doesn't matter if it has a power of its own. And I try to always remember that, and let it to express honestly yeah.
So ultimately what I'm hearing you say is, as you're creating the music, it's fueling through you, flowing through you, comes from you, but it comes to the people and they can receive it or not. But it's not about you. It's about you creating that peace and providing that peace to the world through your music.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, not to be religious or anything, but in a way, it's about obeying, following. I mean, I'm doing what I'm directed to do.
Yes.
And there's
Yes.
just no other way to really put it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what it is, I know what it is to sometimes try to play and get into a bag that isn't really mine. It's somebody else's, and oh boy, they want to hear this, and a lot of runs and zip, zip, zip. And that's not really me. And I finally, no, that's not really me. I can do it, but that doesn't fulfill me. And so I have to be happy with what I'm doing, or I feel that I am. I don't know if it's true that I have to be, but I don't know how else you would know that you should be doing what you're doing. If it doesn't give you some pleasure or feeling of fulfillment.
Right. Yeah. And to that point too, it's, doing what you love. People can feel that. People can see that through the music. Like you said, it touches their heart. Something about your music touches their soul. It moves them to emotion. And I just want to thank you for creating your music, for your talent, for sharing your talents with the world. Because you could just be like, oh, I love creating music, but I'm just going to keep it for myself and put it in the closet. But you decided to share it with everyone. So thank you.
Yeah.
Ooh, the next question. How do you balance your life and reset to prevent yourself from getting too overwhelmed?
Well, that's kind of tricky, depending on, because sometimes I do get, it's just back-to-back work projects. But I managed to, with my friends, we'll go out and have dinner, we'll go out and have breakfast. And, I play for a church, and I really love the people there and being able to fellowship with them. So I think, I manage
You find a way. That's really good to hear. Some people don't manage. So what's your advice for finding that balance? Like for people who are struggling to find the balance, how do you do it? What advice do you give them to help them and help encourage them to find that balance in their life?
I'm not sure I know how to answer that question. I mean, I have to play it by ear a lot of times, and sometimes, I just get tired of being in this spot working on, and I take a break, and I might just go to the cafe down the street and have some coffee where there are other people. And I might not talk to any of them, but I'm just among other people watching them. And sometimes I run into people I know. I don't know that I would really. I need somebody to tell me how to do that. Answer that question. Really.
That's fair. That's fair. And so it's kind of sounds like it's your body kind of telling you, you're like, you know what, I'm a little tired, burnt out. I'm going to go take a break. And so allowing your body to tell you, all right, it's time for a bit of rest. Let me go enjoy something outside of what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
I love that. Next question. How did you begin composing for orchestras? And who was the first orchestra to reach out to you with interest?
The first orchestra that reached out to me was the Women's Philharmonic Orchestra in San Francisco. And I got, that was the first experience I had with the full orchestra. And, I did a couple of things with them, and I don't know, it's, for instance, when I wrote the opera, Dark River, which is, it's now called Is This America, but it's an opera about the civil rights movement in the 60s in Mississippi, and there was this very intense struggle for voting rights. And I wrote an opera about Fannie Lou Hamer, who was one of the leaders in that movement. But I had initiated this idea and happened to run into a producer who I knew and had a little experience with. When I told him I was working on an opera, and he said, "What's it about?" And I said, "Civil rights," and hadn't actually started on it. But I had written another opera. The very first opera I wrote was with this playwright, Lance Belleville, and it was about Clara Barton and it was the first, the founder of the First Aid. And it took place during the Civil War and so forth. So I had every experience help me to go to the next one. So this producer that said he could get grants to do this, I thought that's really nice. And sure enough, they did come up with grants, and he meant what he said. And so they commissioned me to do this opera. And I wrote it for, it was a small company. We didn't have an orchestra, but we had a little small house band. I think there were 7 people. And I won't name all, but there were 7 pieces. Then one of the people who was involved in that opera ran into someone who, from back east, there was this conference up north, I think in Oregon, and she was telling this guy about this opera that she had done, because it was pretty successful. And we had 6 performances, and pretty full houses for each performance. And so she told him about this opera. He called me and decided he absolutely wanted to do this opera at Mount Holyoke in Massachusetts. And he said, I have an orchestra. Of course, he's associated with the college. So he has an orchestra and he just thinks this would be great. He was Chinese American and he just was really into the idea. So that was, so I found myself writing for this opera, writing for orchestra. And so then I've had other commissions like from San Jose Symphony several years ago. But here and there, and most of the work I've done really in the last few years has been around the opera ever since 2000. And here we are, 2023. I have, I can't say I'd like to have more because I don't have time. I'm doing as much as I can.
Yes.
I don't have anyone who can do it for me, like a wife or, I have to do things for myself. I don't have anybody to go through the mail and pay the bills, and the laundry and all that. So I do it. So, but I'm just basically, I just got recently a commission from Interlochen School of Fine Arts. And I'm really happy about that. I have another commission sort of hanging for a woodwind quintet. So there are things that are in the lineup here.
Congratulations. I'm just sitting here in awe of you. Like, I'm just like, tell me more. Like, so much history, so much talent wrapped up in one woman. And I'm curious, what is your favorite opera or musical selection out of everything you've done today? Do you have a favorite
opera? I don't really have a favorite opera. To tell you the truth, opera wasn't part of the dream. I never thought I would ever write for opera. It's funny how things never quite turn out exactly like you think or like they're supposed to, according to what you're thinking. But that wasn't really part of the dream. However, I have come to really love it and would do another one if the opportunity presents itself. In fact, I am working on one right now.
So no favorite comes to mind. Not one of, I know you have so many children, so you can't pick a favorite. You got there has to be someone like kind of creeping up at the top of your mind.
Well, I composed music in 20. Well, actually it was earlier than that, but it was recorded in 2010 and it's called Movement in 5 Colors. And it's 5 movements. And the second movement has sort of become, I get lots of people are performing that. In fact, Denver should be performing, and I have to get in touch with them. Yeah, I mean, I've done some, they played this piece on the radio in Denver, and I've had a couple of interviews with people around it. So, but it's called Soul of Remembrance. And this piece is about really, it's kind of epic in that it's the African Americans experience beginning in Africa into to America and the different eras. And Soul of Remembrance is, once we were here and we had our duties, people never lost faith. And they, there was that collective memory of something that bound them together, even though they were from different tribes and people were just kind of thrown together. And it was my favorite. And it turns out that it's everybody else's favorite. I mean, I've had many orchestras perform this piece. So, I like some of the other movements as well, but I guess maybe that's the one that I think I like it the most.
That's fair. I will accept that answer. And I've listened to that, and it's a beautiful, beautiful arrangement. So for those of you who are listening to this, I urge you to listen to it as well. I will include it in the description, or wherever this ends up being. I'll make sure to include a link to it for sure. I know we're coming up on time, but I do have a couple of other burning questions. How do you come up with your musical ideas? Are there things in everyday life which spark those ideas for you? I know you say like it just comes to you, but like, is there anything specific that, provides that inspiration for you?
Well, sometimes events do. Certain kinds of huge events like the 7/11, that didn't, or 9/11, that didn't do it for me, but things like that. Sometimes I don't have an idea. I just have to start. I just have to do something. It's like taking the first step. You're gonna cross the street, and you step down from the curb, and you attempt to cross the street. Well, sometimes it's like that with the music I've written, especially if it's not opera. See, opera, you have a subject, you've got a story. It's not really a blank page. But for something like Five Movements in Color, or some of the other pieces that I've written that are instrumental, I didn't often have inspiration, except what I could. It's like it would sort of get started, and then I would be inspired by a particular idea I'd come up with. I might try several things, and it's not really happening for me. And then I find the thing that is happening, and I know I can build on that, and it expresses what I feel, and
Mm-hmm. So if there are people who are in the process of starting one of their dreams, like they have something burning in their heart and their soul that they want to go after, what advice do you have for them to make that dream a reality?
Well, first of all, find out what's necessary in order for you to achieve what this dream is. I mean, what are the components of it, the idea, and you have to believe in yourself, in that, I can take this first step, because you got to take the first step. You can dream forever, but you have to take that first step. And you have to be careful who you talk to about your dreams. You don't want to talk to naysayers or people who are, they just don't want to see you do your best. There are people like that. Stay away from the naysayers. Believe in yourself, and know that everyone has a purpose. Everyone. We all have a talent. We don't know which one. I mean, until life begins to reveal that to you. But you have to put your all into it, and you have to believe in yourself, and know that this is the higher self telling you, the higher power or whatever, urging you forward in this endeavor, whatever it is you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. So believe in yourself. Make sure you be careful about who you talk to your dreams about. You don't want the naysayers knocking your dream down to the ground. But figuring out what the steps are, like what are the next steps so that you can move forward. You can't just, like you said, you can dream forever, just sit in a little bubble and just like rock back and forth and you're like, oh, I wish I wanted, but you have to take action. Without action, nothing will come to fruition.
Right.
Okay, final question. What do you want people to remember about you? Like, what do you want your ultimate legacy to be?
Well, I think that it's that I was a good person, and that I deep down and who I am is I have a lot of love, and I have to express it. And that has nothing to do with the times that I'm not feeling so lovable or I'm angry or whatever. But I'm about peace. I'm about love, about giving that love and being open to receiving it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, it's through the music that I'm able to love many, many people that way, because that's what I'm doing. I'm loving and I'm blessing my audience.
Mm-hmm. And I feel that and I receive it. And just listening to your music, it touches my heart and brings me to tears and emotion. So again, just thank you for taking time out of your day to just have a conversation, to meet with me. How can people stay in touch with you? Well, like what are some of your final thoughts and words of encouragement to my audience?
What's my final thoughts for
My audience, just final words of encouragement, thoughts that you want to share with the audience, and then how can they stay in touch with you?
love yourself. Love yourself. There's a healthy love, not the, but if you're beating yourself up or telling yourself you can't do something, or oh, you don't have, well, why are you doing? That's a defeat. That's defeat. You have to. And so when I say, love yourself, it's true that you, and that's what you want to share, however you do it. If it's playing basketball or it's sewing or painting, whatever. I hope that answers your question.
It does answer my question. And then is there a website that they can go to just keep in touch with any new orchestras or operas or ways to see you perform live that they can just go to for that information?
Yes, you can go to my Mary D. Watkins, all lowercase, Mary D. Watkins at marydwatkins.com. You can reach me there. And, I have your phone number, so I think Shaven has my phone number. So
He does, yes.
my nephew.
I know. I selfishly was able to get you on the call because I have a connection. So I feel lucky. But yes, thank you again for meeting with me. I'm excited to share these words, these inspirational gems with my audience. Again, I'm focused on how to transform dreams into reality by providing and equipping people with individuals like yourself to speak to them about how they turn one of their dreams into reality. So thank you, Mary Watkins, Aunt Mary, for meeting with me today. You really appreciate it.
Having me.
Yeah. Thank you.